Hi, this is Larry Campbell from ProBarberSupplies.com, and today I'm at Champs Barbers in the heart of the West End with Fabian, who's going to be my practical advisor on clippers. I'll be reviewing them from a technical aspect. Before I start this review, I first need to go into the three different types of hair clippers there are. There are a lot of barbers that don't actually know that there are three types of hair clippers. You have three types of hair clippers. You have a magnetic motor, you have a pivot motor, and you have a rotary motor. So basically, because I haven't got any diagrams, I might have to use my hands and do this with parts of my anatomy. Basically, a magnetic motor works with two arms in the actual clipper itself, and the two arms vibrate like this, which causes the bottom blade to cut. So that's a magnetic motor. These are the weakest of all the clippers, but these are the most generally used clippers. The second type of clipper that you have is called a pivot motor. Basically, a pivot motor operates slower than the magnetic motor. However, it has more torque and more power, and they tend to be a lot quieter. These are typically a fast feed. Oster clipper is a pivot motor. And how the pivot motor works, a third of the way down the actual clipper, you have the arm pivoting and the bottom blade is on the bar, so typically make this motion to power the clipper. So like I said, this would generally be slower, but you get more torque. And the third type of clipper is a rotary clipper, which basically works on the cam system, where the bottom blade is on the cam and the blade will go, is motioned by a rotary motor movement. So as you see on this Oster Classic, it's got a round frame and casing, that's so it can get the rotary motion. These are the most powerful clippers that you can get, and these will basically go through anything, any form of afro hair or animals. So now we know the difference between the clippers. I'll start the review. The first clipper we will start with is the Wahl Senior. These typically produce 7,200 strokes per minute. It's got a metal casing and plastic casing, and you've got a fade blade. To the best of my knowledge, this is the all-round generally used hair clipper with barbers. So I'm going to just hand you over to Fabian now, and Fabian can share his experience as a barber who works 8 to 10 hours a day with different haircuts, how this works in his professional life.
Okay, Larry, when I first got this clipper, I saw the difference straight away, and in my fades, in everyday haircuts really. I use it for everything. Okay. To fade, to cut down hair, for tops, for everything. The only thing I don't use it for is for lineups. You have detailers for that. It doesn't heat up. The fade blade helps you a lot with the fades, like I said. I love the casing. The metal casing is lovely. It's long lasting. It's a really good clipper. My everyday clipper, basically.
Okay. So it's fair to say that is your general most
used clipper. This one.
Okay.
So I can use it for everything and anything really.
So what would you say to maybe another barber or a semi-pro barber or amateur with regards to this, about this clipper? What would be your advice or recommendation, or when should they use it?
Like I said, you can use it for everyday cutting.
Okay.
I use it. It's really good for the fades.
Okay.
Really good for the finishing touches of the fades. Get it.
Okay. Cool.
Get it. It's really good. It's a really good hair clipper.
There you go. That's the Wahl Senior, which is a magnetic motored hair clipper. Now we'll move on to the rotary blade, which I said is the most powerful kind of clipper that you can get. This is for taking down. This is what they'll use generally. The American Army used this clipper to get through high volumes of haircut. And basically these come with Cryogen blades, which are basically stay cool carbon steel blades. So these stay very cool despite the high volume usage, and this is an unbreakable case as well. So and this gives out a different kind of texture. So what these are good for are nice velvet smooth cuts, and the reason that is because the purchases on this particular clipper are very good. What do I mean by purchases? Purchases is the ability for the hair to go into the comb, capture the hair and cut it sharp, so you can go through fewer strokes and get better cuts and action. So again, I'm just the boffin. I'm going to hand you over to the practical professional and use this every day. Fabian, over to you.
As you said, Larry, this goes for anything. Use a lot of afro hair to bring down when someone's got if it's afro hair, when someone's got a long hair, you can take it down in half the time. You can take it down with a Wahl clipper, and obviously fewer strokes, because it just cuts it down straight down. You don't have to go over it again. In a few bits you might have to, but fewer strokes. Or let's say you're bringing it down to a 1 all over, because you could do it in 2 minutes with this, less than 2 minutes.
Perfect.
It doesn't heat up. It's got vents on both sides, so it doesn't heat up. It's one of the best clippers out there.
Okay.
One of the best clippers out there.
Thank you. Oh, and one other thing I did forget, and I think Fabian forgot also, as a rotary blade, these generally clip off. If you're expecting the lever or the tapering on a rotary blade, that won't happen. You basically need to purchase all your sizes up. But you'll, like I said, using a rotary blade, there'll be a marked difference on the quality of your work if you can handle it. It's just like a mini can of baked beans, but this is an exceptional tool.
You get used to it. You get used to the size. You get used to yeah. You get used to the clipper, and every time you get a new clipper, you're gonna feel like, oh, this is too heavy. But once you find what it's good for, then you know why you need it, basically. Yeah, but you get used to the size. It's not a problem.
Yeah, there you go. That's the classic 76 Osters. Another generally used blade is the Andis Master, which is just a sexy clipper to look at. It's got a solid aluminium casing. This is a general stainless steel blade. The benefit of a stainless steel blade is good for self-sharpening. Also, you've got a measured lever on the side, so when you are fading, you can basically know exactly where you are, so you can get a nice gradient of fade. This pumps out 14,000 strokes, 1,400 strokes per minute, so it's a very, very powerful machine. As such, it can heat up, so you need to lubricate this quite quickly, because this is a very, very powerful piece of machinery. Again, over to Fabian. This is the man that uses them all day, every day.
Larry, I use this clipper mostly for my fading. When I'm doing zeros and 0.5s, I use this clipper. It's great for someone that's starting off. As a barber who wants to learn how to fade. As you said, the lever's got indicators basically where you start off and where you finish off. So it's really good to guide you through a fade. So a lot of people use it as the everyday clipper, but it could heat up a little bit, so I use it only for my fading. And then again, depends on what kind of hair you're doing, because it gives you a different texture than the Wahl clipper. So if you use the Wahl clipper and then use this clipper, you're not gonna get the same texture on the fading. So you need to know, like I said, your levels and where you can start off using this. If you're gonna do a whole haircut and you wanna fade with this, the whole haircut, you do the whole haircut with a Masters.
Okay.
That's a recommendation I give everyone that's using both.
We appreciate recommendations.
if you're just finishing off a fade, then this is your friend right here.
Okay.
It's gonna help you a lot. And this lever is one of the best creation out there. One of the best creations out there for barbers that have been in the game for 15, 20 years to barbers that are starting off.
Okay.
It's a really good clipper, and it's very sharp. And it's also one of the, that's why it's called Masters. It's one of the best out there.
Okay. Thank you, appreciate that. Cool. That's the Andis Master, and a new addition to the Champs Barbers is the Fat Master. Now the Fat Master, same as the Masters, but it's powder coated with a brown powder coating. This has got a blade that goes from 1A to 2. So the benefit of this, going back to my earlier conversation, is all to do with the purchases. If you want a nice, smooth, velvety fade at that higher level, if you don't put if you don't have to put a guide onto a clipper, that's how you're going to get that velvetness, yeah. And that's the benefit of this high blade. Your purchases are going to be a lot better. You need to run over the fade half as much to get a much better result. So again, I'll hand you over to the mic.
This works very similar to the Osters when talking about the purchases. You said, isn't it?
The purchases.
Of the hair. What it's got, it does have a lever, so it helps you a lot with the fading. Using the Masters and this one together, you could do a whole haircut with this, a whole back and sides basically.
Okay.
Then again, it looks good. I mean, it's the first time I used it today. I had used a friend's one before, but this one was really cool. I like the casing. I recommend it. I haven't used it for that long, but I recommend it a lot.
Back to our review. As I was talking about earlier, I was talking about the pivot motor, and as I said, the pivot motor, basically 1/3 of the way down the clipper, you have the arm on a pivot, and it basically makes this motion along a bar to move the bottom cutting blade. Now the whole thing with a pivot motor, they don't sound as fast, they do not sound as effective as a magnetic motor. However, the power is far greater. These are good for fades because of the speed. That will give you a much better fade. And as you see, when I turn on the clipper, you hear that it's very silent. It doesn't sound as powerful as a magnetic motor. However, this is the second alternative to going through here, other than the classic 76. So again, I'll hand you over to Fabian, who can give you a little bit more insight on a daily basis on a practical level.
This ones are very useful for the fading. Then again, it goes through any kind of hair. The good thing about this one, it works as good as the Oster's 76 Classics. The good thing with this one, it's got a lever, so you don't need to change the blade. So it make you work a lot faster if you're using it just for the fade. I would use the Oster 76 when you're taking hair down.
Okay.
You're bringing big, long amounts of hair down. This one's really good for fading afro hair.
Okay.
It's really good for it.
Oh, so it is. I was right in what I said, but you'd say it's got more of a preference to afro hair for that velvet.
That's my personal preference. You can fade any kind of hair with this.
Okay.
Then again, it gives you a different texture on the fade. This one gives you a different texture to the Wahl and to the Masters, to the Andis Masters.
And that's because of the speed.
Because of the speed, because of the blades aren't the same. You know, every clipper's got different kind of blades, so the finish is going to be different. Very recommended. Again, one of the best clippers out there for fading. I like to use it to fade out for her a lot. So it doesn't heat up.
Yeah, that's another thing I forgot. Yeah, that's right.
It doesn't heat up at all.
Cool.
Yeah, they stay very cool. And like you said, even though they don't sound as powerful, they are very powerful. They are very powerful. So you can do a fade. Let's say you take half an hour on a fade. This you take 15 minutes.
Okay. Oh, and another thing I forgot to say about this, which is really, really good, is the lightweight.
Lightweight.
It's about half the weight of the a magnetic motor. So it's really good for women. This is a really good fading tool for women because of the weight.
A lot of people have problems in their wrist or suffer from arthritis. This is really good for them because it's not heavy at all. You don't have pain on your wrist or on your hands and your fingertips at the end of the day. So yeah, very recommended. If you're a barber starting off as well, this one can help you a lot as well as the Andis Masters.
Excellent. Thank you for that insight, David. Hi, this is Larry Campbell from ProBarberSupplies.com, and today I'm at Champs Barbers in the heart of the West End with Fabian, who's going to be my practical advisor on clippers. I'll be reviewing them from a technical aspect. Before I start this review, I first need to go into the 3 different types of hair clippers there are. So there are a lot of barbers that don't actually know that there are 3 types of hair clippers. You have 3 types of hair clippers. You have a magnetic motor, you have a pivot motor, and you have a rotary motor. So basically, because I haven't got any diagrams, I might have to use my hands and do this with parts of my anatomy. Basically, a magnetic motor works with 2 arms in the actual clipper itself, and the 2 arms vibrate like this, which causes the bottom blade to cut. So that's a magnetic motor. These are the weakest of all the clippers, but these are the most generally used clippers. The second type of clipper that you have is called a pivot motor. Basically, a pivot motor operates slower than the magnetic motor. However, it has more torque and more power, and they tend to be a lot quieter. These are typically a fast